Welcome to aminacademy.com. In engineering economics, let us discuss about elements of cost. Elements of cost. Cost can be broadly classified into variable cost and overhead cost. This is a basic difference. Variable cost varies with the volume of production while overhead cost is fixed, irrespective of the production volume. We'll discuss about variable cost. Variable cost can be further classified into direct material cost and direct labor cost and direct expenses. The overhead cost can be classified into factory overhead, administration overhead, selling overhead, and distribution overhead. Direct material cost are those costs of material that are used to produce the product. The direct labor cost is the amount of wages paid to the direct labor involved in the production activities. Direct expenses are those expenses that vary in relation to the production volume. Other than the direct material cost and direct labor cost. Overhead cost. Overhead cost is the aggregate of indirect material cost, indirect labor cost, and indirect expenses. Those together forms your overhead cost, that is indirect material cost, indirect labor cost, and indirect expenses. Administration overhead includes all the costs that are incurred in administration, administering the business. Selling overhead is the total expenses that is incurred in the promotional activities like advertisement and the expenses relating to sales force. Distribution overhead is the total cost of shipping the item from the factory side to the customer side. The selling price of your product is derived as shown below. Here, step by step, you have to go the formula for cost to get the selling price of the product. First, direct material cost, that is how much they purchased, plus direct labor cost plus direct expenses is called prime cost. Prime cost include three things, that is direct material cost, direct labor cost plus direct expenses altogether gives prime cost. Then prime cost is in second things, prime cost plus factory overhead is factory cost. Then factory cost added with office and administrative overhead is cost of production. Cost of production is added with opening finished stock minus closing finished stock gives cost of goods sold. Then cost of goods sold plus selling the distribution overhead equal cost of sales. Then cost of sales plus profit equal to sales. Now, then sales or quantity sold equal to selling price per unit. So we have to get selling price by using all costs incurred. In the above calculation, if the opening finished stock is equal to the closing finished stock, then the cost of production is equal to the cost of goods sold. That is yeah. Now we'll discuss other costs and revenues. The following are the costs or revenues other than the costs which are presented in the previous section. That is, these are the costs incurred here. Then we have to do other costs than that things. Manage marginal cost, marginal revenue, sunk cost, opportunity cost. First we'll discuss marginal cost. The marginal cost of the product is the cost of producing an additional unit of that product. For example, let the cost of producing 20 units of the product be 10,000 rupees. The cost of producing 21th element, that is next unit of the same product, suppose it is 10,000, 10,080. Then the marginal cost of producing the 21st unit is 80 rupees more, that is 80. That means already cost for 20 units cost is this much unit. Then marginal revenue. Marginal revenue of the product is the incremental revenue of selling an additional unit of the product. That is next marginal cost. Marginal revenue of your product is the incremental revenue of selling an additional unit of that product. Let the revenue of selling 20 units of product is be rupees 15,000 and the revenue of selling 21st unit of the same product be 15,125 for example. Then the marginal revenue of selling the 21st unit is 125. That is 15,125 minus 15,000 is rupees 125. Next, sunk cost. This is known as the past cost of equipment or asset. Let us assume that an equipment has been purchased for rupees 1 lakh about 3 years back. If it is considered for replacement, then its present value is not rupees 1 lakh because of depreciation, some other things. Instead, its present market value should be taken as the present value of the equipment for further analysis. So the purchase value of the equipment in the past is known as its sunk cost. The sunk cost should not be considered for any analysis done from now onwards. Opportunity cost. In practice, if an alternative X, for example, is selected from the set of competing alternatives X, Y, then the corresponding investment in the selected alternative is not available for any other purpose. If the same money is invested in the same other alternatives Y, it may fetch some return. Since the money is invested in the selected alternatives X, one has to forego the return from other alternatives Y. The amount that is foregone may not investing in the other alternatives Y is known as the opportunity cost of the selected alternatives. So the opportunity cost of an alternative is the return that will be foregone by not investing the same money in another alternatives. For example, consider a person has invested the sum of rupees 1 lakh in shares. Let the expected annual return by this alternatives be rupees 15,000. If the same amount is invested in a fixed deposit, a bank will pay the return of 18% suppose, then the corresponding total return per year for the investment in the bank is rupees 18,000. This return is greater than the return from shares. The return from share is 15,000. By fixed deposit, you may get 18,000. This return is greater than the return from the share. The foregone excess of rupees 3,000 by way of not investing in the bank is the opportunity cost of investing in shares. So far we discussed about different cost, that is element of cost in engineering economics. We have done. Please subscribe our YouTube channel.